In this section, Carolyn highlights the importance of having an open conversation with nominated referees as part of the application process and preparation.
You're choosing your referees wisely and having an honest conversation with them before nominating. Don't be afraid to ask, what are you going to say about me in the reference? We're going to a handout in a minute. But this is really problematic because what often happens, and particularly with the parish priest, but with other referees as well, is that people flick either electronically or they hand the paperwork to somebody. Could you please do a reference for me? Oh yes, I'll do that. And that's as much conversation as happens. In some, even less than that. They just flick an email to the person. They haven't had a conversation. It's very problematic if you don't get shortlisted or you're not successful at interview for the position. It's because of the reference. It's very, very difficult for me when I'm giving you feedback because the referee reports are supposed to be confidential. I'd rather really that they weren't. But in order to overcome that, the important thing is for you to have conversations with people before you ask them to give you a reference. What would you say? Do you support me? Do you think I'm ready to step up to an assistant principal, REC principal position? I need you to give me your honest feedback. I also say this to you if you're writing references. So sometimes you would be approached to write a reference for somebody. Yes?
On the other side, do the people that interview the referees ask what are their weaknesses as well? Like, I know obviously they want the positives and what they're good at, but like, do you have a conversation saying, what am I weak at?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like
with your referees when you ask them?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are my areas for growth?
Yeah.
Because that's a question that they get asked on the referee form. So when you read the form, you'll see the things they're asked to comment on. And one of them is, what's the area for development for this person? And we're often very interested to read that and see if it matches up, either at interview or in the application, where somebody mentions, well, really I don't know much about English second language learners, and that is something I want to improve. Or from your emotional intelligence assessments, there might have been areas for growth that Gail has discussed with you, or Pat or whoever met with you to have that discussion. So self-reflection, nobody is perfect. Every principal we've got's got a growth area. We've all got growth areas. So it's important to know and recognise, and what sends a good, strong message if what you say is your growth area is the same thing as what your referees say. Because it means you've got a lot of insight into how people are perceiving your work.
As a middle leader, you generally have your principal.
Yes.
Now, often you ask, would you be able to be a positive referee? Yep, no worries. So that's really difficult if they're giving you a different tilt on things, and you can't let us know in feedback that. Well,
if it was because of referee comments that you weren't shortlisted or you didn't get the job, I would ring you up and say to you, your referees were either not supportive or they weren't overly supportive of you. And then I'll just leave it to you to follow up that conversation. I won't be able to say too much about specifics unless that referee gives me permission to do so. And it's just putting me in the middle. I don't want to be in the middle. I want you to be getting, and that should be happening through your PD, PR processes. It shouldn't be coming as a surprise. I believe in honest and open and transparent feedback, but in the areas where referees really want to keep reasonably confidential is the parish priests. Now, parish priests, understandably, are not, their core work is your pastoral and spiritual guidance. It's not really about employment, but it is, some of them have strong opinions about that, some of them don't. But they prefer their references to be confidential. So I particularly say to you, And we had one reference recently for somebody who was applying for a principal position, and it did talk about, you know, they're a regular worshipper, but for this level of position, I would expect them to be a bit more engaged in the parish. So, in other words, be on some rosters and doing, you know, a few more things in the parish. So some of the priests have that expectation that the higher the level of the position in the school, the more engagement there should be in the parish. And I get that. But these are the conversations you've got to have with your parish priest and with your referees, so that you know that they're fully supportive. And then sometimes they are very supportive, but they're either very supportive or reasonably supportive. And then in terms of who you feel the field is against you, others might have stronger references.
Yeah, because you have those conversations at your PDPR, and when
Yes,
you ask,
Mm-hmm.
could you be a positive referee, you're sort of hoping that they're tilting on, okay, these are the things you've achieved, you've done them.
And the basic question is, do you support me for this position? Do you think I'm ready to be an AP at this school? And readiness is a key thing. And if they say yes, then that's what you expect in your reference.
They say no.
If they say no, then you say why not?
Mm-hmm.
And what do I need to do to grow and be ready?
Right.
And you take that on board. And hopefully they're the same sorts of things that you may have been hearing in your PDPR in terms of if everything's working properly, that's how it should happen. That you should know what your areas of growth are.